MDfashionco podcast. Let's check out this video. Let's get right into it.
I have an inner fascist. Every single one of us has a dark side. The left needs somebody who actually says things that can connect with people. This is a tragedy of good people trying to do good things and then in the end up devouring each other. Our opinions are being influenced not by opinion makers, but by machines that train us to train them, to train us to train them how to know us and to influence us directly.
Yanis Varoufakis, Efraistopouli, how nice to see you.
Thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure.
Well, this is a turning point for you in the literary style. Whatever else you've written before, I might call it academic, I might call it, psychological, but this is a new style.
So I'd like to think that this is not a boring book that takes one particular left-wing perspective. It tries to bring out the complexity of modernity.
Yes. Well, here's something else it brings out, because this is in your words. It encouraged you to confront the inner male chauvinist.
Indeed.
Did you have a male chauvinist in you, Yanis Varoufakis?
We all do.
Well, let's talk about you.
We all do, of course, absolutely.
Inner male chauvinist. What is a chauvinist? Let's look it up. A chauvinist is the unreasonable belief in the superiority or dominance of one's own group or people.
Absolutely. I have an inner fascist. I have a brute. We all do. We have, every single one of us has a dark side, and it's a constant struggle. The beauty of life is to struggle against the darker forces within us. Because, I don't know about you, I'm not going to presume.
That's the beauty of life, to struggle against the darker forces within us. It's like good and evil, Satan and God.
About you, but I remember as boys, we were socialized through misogyny. You know, boys getting together, ganging up on the girls.
And on each other, but boys gang up on boys, that's it.
Indeed.
So
but, yeah,
it's this kind of...
That's a fascist in us.
Punchy.
Right. So our social...
I think he's talking about fascism, tribalism, like same kind of thing.
Process.
Well, that's oversimplified, but yeah, you get what I mean, right? Tribalism.
And I believe that this is, unfortunately, being reinforced these days in
strongman politics.
And with the algorithms and what I call cloud capital and social media and big tech amplifying what I experienced without algorithms.
Yeah, absolutely. So he's talking about tribalism. Yeah, that makes total sense.
And therefore,
the algorithm promotes tribalism because that's what gets you to watch the algorithm longer.
The subtitle that I wanted to give my book was 5 women who taught me how to resist fascism, authoritarianism, and the male chauvinist within.
There was a period when I think of you as a brochurist. Have you heard that phrase? It's a mangle of the word socialist with bro, and it doesn't make any sense except it rhymes. And you were seen as a sort of...
I've been accused of many things, not of that.
Leather jacket wearing, motorbike riding, Angela Merkel stander-upper, brochurist.
Well, look, I love motorcycles. And I'm not going to apologize for that. And it's got nothing to do with being a bro. My wife is a motorcyclist. And she's not a bro.
This is a bit sensationalist right now.
Believe you.
Let's talk about the ideas. Let's not talk about the person.
Me.
Let me ask you to see it from this way.
Yes.
Our Chancellor, who is like you, assailed by advice, she's called Rachel from accounts. You were never called Yanis from accounts. Do you sympathise with Rachel Reeves?
Not much. Not much, because Rachel Reeves shot herself in the foot before she was elected, before she became Chancellor.
But that's policy. It's personal to say she's Rachel from accounts. You could condemn that.
I can condemn that easily. I can condemn any attempt to pigeonhole people and effectively to put a label on their forehead, whether they are people I agree with or not. But on
policy,
what matters.
Yeah.
And not so much politics, but economics. And, she's a chancellor. She needs to be judged according to her impact on the macroeconomy of this country. Having accepted a pound shop version of George Osborne's austerity before she even became chancellor, at a time when the last thing this country needed was austerity, she really set herself up for failure.
Is she wrong to be concerned about the power of the bond markets?
No, of course. we should all be terrified of the bond market. It's very scary.
Because Andy Burnham...
Especially if you are a finance minister, a chancellor, right? You should, be very wary of the bond market.
But because Andy Burnham
where
said,
she's completely wrong.
Let's not be in hock to the bond markets. Andy Burnham said that. So she's...
I think that's what Andy meant, if I may interpret him, which I have no right to do. But allow me to say what I think her grave mistake is. It is to think that you can pacify the bond market through austerity, through cutting, that you are, proving yourself to be fiscally responsible when you're cutting. Now, George Osborne, his experience should have taught her that when you're cutting, especially in a period of stagnation, of very low productive investment, all you're doing is you're resembling a stupid cat chasing its own tail, because you cut. Even if you manage to reduce your expenditure, the state's expenditures, that diminishes, shrinks the growth rate, and therefore the tax take. So you end up, in the end, having to cut even more, and you get caught up in that stupendous downward spiral, like George Osborne was.
Do you have advice for her?
Look, I don't want to sound presumptuous, but of course I would do things very, very differently. And my main advice would be, don't look at the budget before you have a plan on how to reinvigorate the economy. To think that you can simply say growth, 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 while practicing fiscal austerity, and that growth will come through some kind of...
Fiscal austerity. A policy approach that involves reducing government spending and or increasing taxes in order to reduce budget deficits and debt. Okay, so he's talking about reducing debt in government. Okay.
Magic. That's just delusional. The problem that Britain has had now for 30 years is that there has been no serious productive investment. There's been liquidation of public assets, starting from Thatcher, with the sale of council houses, British Gas, British Airways, and so on. All that money, including North Sea oil, was wasted. It was thrown into the cauldron of creating fake demand, increasing the trade deficit of this country, and so on.
How old is
and
this
then
video?
at some point, you just ran out of the family silver to sell, and you had asset prices that were sky high and very low levels of productivity. So you were caught up, this country was caught up, in a low level of equilibrium.
Yeah, and
so you've got to answer the question, so how are you going to reverse that equilibrium? And then the budget will follow. The problem with Rachel Reeves, with these bean counters, is that they start counting beans without having a plan of how to bring about serious productive investment.
So there's a lack of productiveness from Britain. That makes sense, because China has a lot of production.
To ask,
that's a problem that America has. That's why Trump tried to bring the tariffs in to make people do more manufacturing in America.
you as well, another question which will annoy you.
No questions annoying.
Well, you were getting...
It's not having decent answers that does.
You don't like... Well, all decent questions. But Slavoj Žižek appeared on this program, the Slovenian thinker, and said the left needs its own Trump, because Trump has broken the orthodoxies of what governments can do. He's taken tariffs, which are not really liked by the markets, and thrown them around hither and thither. Do you agree that the left needs its own Trump?
Look, Slavoj is a great friend of mine, personally speaking, right? So
that's why I said it. He said it.
There's nothing that he can say that annoys me.
Because he's just said it.
Especially when I disagree with him, because this is how friends should disagree. But let me answer your question. Look, allow me to interpret Slavoj. I know him pretty well. What he meant, and I agree with him on this, is that the left needs somebody who actually says things that can connect with people and which are not simply a regurgitation of that which center-left politicians believe that it is going to keep them respectable within the establishment.
Very, 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 very well said. So the left needs someone who can connect with them, like, instead of just regurgitating, because the left always wants to stay in their social, like, group, I guess. That makes sense.
That's what Slavoj means. And I think he's right on that. You know,
They want to remain respectable in the establishment, whereas Trump is very like, I don't care about the establishment. I'm just going to be me and say what I believe in.
The left, when we fail to connect with people, we must stop blaming the establishment. The establishment is going to try to bring us down. We have a duty to go beyond that and to connect with people. And that's where I will agree with Slavoj.
Because basically, do you need a strong man or woman? Because the left is always falling out with itself. Here, they tried to launch your party, and they can't. They're always arguing. They don't know what to say over here. They don't know what to say over there. The left is condemned to argue, whereas in the right, you're getting strong men who are giving a message to the public, or, in the case of France, a strong woman who they then say can't stand.
It's pretty tragic, isn't it? But at the same time, it is understandable because, you know, people who want to change the world in a good way, they have lots of ideas. And they, you know, if you think about the Christians, from the very beginning of Christianity, they fell out with one another. They had heresies, they had, you know, splinters, they were killing each other. This is a tragedy of good people trying to do good things and then in the end up devouring each other. Like
well, I mean, I can't really go back.
So we have to be very critical of ourselves as leftists.
Let me not go back 2,000 years. Let me ask you in the...
So it's calling for leftists to be critical of ourselves because to create a revolution, they're doing good things. I would just ask, what is good things? Like, you have to define what good is. Because you bring up Christianity. Christianity says something is good. Like, he made the world and it was good.
The UK, for instance...
What's good, in his opinion?
Zach Polanski.
Yeah.
Do you back Zach?
I think that Zach Polanski is a breath of fresh air.
Because he wants to be an eco-populist, which is kind of in the territory I'm asking you.
I hate the word populism.
Well, you can't... It's his word.
I think we should be very careful with the words. We need to be popular. We need to be popular, but not populist. Because for me, a populist is somebody who offers everything to everyone, promises all sorts of things, all sorts of people, things that cannot be fulfilled, promises that cannot be fulfilled. And that
Yeah, a populist is a person, especially a politician, who strives to appeal to ordinary people who feel that their concerns are disregarded by established elite groups. So a very left idea.
That is toxic. So I'm against the populism. I think he's right that we need to be popular. And I think that Zach Polanski has really improved the Greens. He's given them a substance that they didn't have. But I don't think the Greens are enough. I think that your party, and here I'm speaking as a bosom buddy of Jeremy Corbyn. I'm not a bosom buddy of Zara Sultana, but I know her and I like her very much.
So you would like to see in Britain, and indeed in the European countries plural, a realignment of the left?
I think it's essential. I think it's not just me who needs it. I think that society needs it because this world of ours, whether it's the United Kingdom or Germany or France or my country or the United States for that matter, we are drifting in a direction that is taking us collectively to a form of sophisticated misanthropy. And, you know, there are...
Misanthropy. A dislike of humankind.
Rise of racism, the rise of the manosphere. As a species, we are facing an existential threat following, you know, this revival of a kind of the mid-war period.
Yes, it's nation states, it's strong men, it's the crowds on the street, it's a climate of violence. You're thinking to yourself, the proof is there that the algorithms, which are controlled by some of the world's richest men, they take the human nature to make you angrier, to make you more
entirely
violent.
We have a new form of capital. Machines used to be just means of production, like, you know, steam engines, industrial robots, machines that help us produce other stuff. But now with these algorithms, with these algorithmic capital goods, we have produced means not of production, but of behavioral modification. So for the first time,
we've produced means of behavioral modification. So that is the means, and it doesn't, like a train, it doesn't, or a factory, it doesn't make a good. It creates controlling people, I guess.
Our opinions are being influenced not by opinion makers, you know, preachers, politicians, and writers and so on, but by machines that train us to train them, to train us, to train them how to know us and to influence us directly. And the oldest of those machines, people like Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk and so on, they have this exorbitant power that that machinery gives them to extract rents from us. And therefore, that machinery, which is self-programming now with AI, what it does, It doesn't. It's not political. It's not moral. It's not amoral. It's just a machine. But it is optimized in order to maximize the time your eyeballs, my eyeballs, spend glued to a screen, because that's how cloud rents amass in the pockets of those people. And the machines work out of their own accord, automatically, that the way in which to maximize the rents for their owners is to get us to be angry. So the
Right, I understand this, and it's not going to get better, it's going to get worse, because the AI, the content now is AI generated, so that content is going to get more specialized. If the objective is to make people more angry, which it is, then it's just going to get worse. So yeah.
poison our soul.
Because
they poison the conversation, and they poison our democracies.
We are more engaged as angry people than as happy online. This is proved, isn't it?
That's right, and especially when it comes to the world of politics and power.
So do you think that now we're seeing a version of our free will under attack?
Well, our free will was always precariously balanced. Okay, it was always an aspiration that we had free will.
Well, we used to say, as capitalists, we used to say the Marxists want us to collectivise and the capitalists want us to exercise free will. That's how we all grew up studying the early...
Well, their own free will, not the free will of the workers, right?
Well, that's a good Marxist.
But
okay, so the issue... Oh, I got to listen to that again. I don't...
As capitalists, we used to say the Marxists want us to collectivise.
Yeah. As capitalists, we say the Marxists want us to collectivize, and the capitalists want free will. Yeah.
Capitalists want us to exercise free will. That's how we all grew up studying the early...
Well, their own free will, not the free will of the workers, right?
Right. So capitalists say their own free will, not the free will of the workers. Well, in a free market, the workers have the ability to move from company to company. So they're not forced to work, right? So that's a misunderstanding, I think, on his side of what capitalism is. Or maybe he's just being realistic as to how he views modern-day capitalism as workers have to work.
Well, that's a good Marxist.
But let me make the point. Let's assume that we are both on the same page and that we value, and I do value, the idea of the liberal individual, the person who is autonomous.
Entrepreneurial.
Who is, forget the entrepreneurial, creative, I would say. The person who creates his or her own desires, beliefs, substance, the free person, the liberal individual, right? Well, that is in serious retreat.
Let's turn to some policy questions. Let's look at the role of the British Prime Minister in trying to be a bridge between this United States and this current European Union plus the UK plus Ukraine. Mm-hmm. Do you think it's a good role for the British Prime Minister? It's historic to try and bridge. Do you think it's an understandable role for Keir Starmer to try to fill?
It is utterly understandable. I don't think he's doing it well.
He got 10-15% less than the tariffs on the EU.
Well, he didn't...
I don't really know about this politics here. I think we can call it here. So, yeah, I mean, what he's saying is true. The algorithms are making people more angry. And yeah, people are getting more angry, and it's just going to keep going. It's only going to get worse. And I don't think people are going to turn off the algorithms. They're not going to turn it off. And yeah, it's just the only thing I would say as a free market guy would be that we have the choice to choose between different algorithms. So... And people already do. Like, a lot of people don't go on TikTok, and they use it as a point of flex to say, I don't have TikTok, right? So that's my analysis of this video. Thank you to the individual who recommended me this video. And yeah, enjoy MD Fashion Co podcast. I'll see you guys later. Thank you.